Just like any good update to any kind of software, Machine 2.3 added a bunch of usability improvements. So simple things that are going to go a long way in just making Machine a better place to work and create. So I'm going to go over a bunch of the more, what I'm going to call the mouseier, boring type stuff here. We know Machine is a great hardware piece and you don't really have to use the mouse much, but there are some things here that I'm going to show you that are more mouse specific. So we'll get into some more fun stuff in a minute. First update that I want to talk about is MIDI drag and drop. So we know we have audio drag and drop, for instance. I could take this, let's just mute out the drums here. So I have this groove, right? And you have the options of dragging the audio or the MIDI. This is great for like resampling right away. For instance, I could drag the audio, it'll render the file. I could just put it on here and now it's an audio sample. So you can do the same thing with MIDI, whereas we can drag this entire pattern to another group. So why is this important? Well, for instance, you might come in and want to load up another group. So for instance, here's an empty group, and let's go browse for some kind of drum group. I'll go into one of the expansions. Since I'm kind of doing a houseier thing, I'll try this Paradise Rinse, which is pretty good. Let's try this London kit. So maybe I want to keep this groove. I've already created this. You can see the reason I might want to keep it is it wasn't quantized, so there's little variations that kind of add to the groove. And I just want this information, but I want to try it with different samples. So what I might do here is drag this MIDI. All I have to do is simply click here, and my pattern 1 can now be placed on my new group. Same thing happened. Now both of these groups are going to play the same groove. We can turn off the original one. And maybe I like this kit better. So that's a really nice way to work. Oh, the way you might have done this before is you could simply select all of the events and then hit copy and go to a new group and then hit paste. So that was one option. Oops, undo that. So from here I could actually go and also with the mouse copy and then come to a new group and paste. But I don't know, different workflows, many ways to skin a cat. This is just one of the ways some people like to work. So it's nice that it's included now. Another thing, let's create another group here and let's look for an instrument. So I'm going to search all instruments. I have this huge list of complete instruments. Let's go to massive. And now you will see that you can actually fold the search results, which is helpful. Because if I hit bass, and I say digital bass, and I say monophonic, you know, things get a little cramped here. I'm on a very large 27-inch iMac, but imagine if you're on a 13-inch laptop. This could easily get to the point where you can't see the search results. So now, once you've searched for stuff, it'll allow you to kind of fold that under and find exactly what you want. And of course, I want the bubblegum bass. Okay, so now that I have that, I can close this off. Next thing I want to show you is if I want to create a pattern, let's just create a new pattern here and we'll do a quick little bass line. I have record quantize turned off and I'm just going to record a new bass line to this new groove I have. So it's kind of off. If we go into pad mode, we can see what I love now is, for instance, on the downbeat, I want this to hit on the downbeat. So I'm going to select this one event with the mouse, right click, and now you have a new option of quantizing or quantizing by 50%. So very helpful. I can come in now and things I used to have to do from the hardware, or I used to have to use a combination of the mouse and the hardware. For me, it kind of makes sense. If I'm already here doing intricate MIDI editing, I might as well just be able to quantize. See, and not having to like, maybe I don't want to quantize every single thing, but I just kind of want to get some stuff tight. So that's really helpful. I like it. Another thing we can do now that's quite mousy is come to the pages and we can strip away some of the navigation pages here. So for instance, something like massive is very deep. There's all these different pages. And if you weren't familiar, you can actually control all of these different modules, kind of, well, most of them, from the machine controller. All you'd have to do is page through all your different pages from the machine controller and turn some knobs. So what if you don't want all this nonsense, right? I don't want 16 pages. I want to use an instrument where I can get right to what I want when I want it. Very easy to do now. You can actually just delete things. So I probably want to keep the macros, but maybe I'll never use this EQ because I like to use third-party stuff. I don't use these effects. I do want the 3 oscillator sections so I can tune and adjust the wavetable positions. Never use the noise. I don't want to use the filters, etc. So I can come in and I can adjust exactly how I want it. Now, keep in mind, this might be what I like. It's not going to reload if I do this, and this is always what massive is going to look like. That would actually be a bad thing, perhaps. However, if I want to save this now and have it show up like this, we can easily do that. I can right-click, save as, and then call it bubblegum less pages, or whatever I want to call it. You know what I mean? And this way, it'll show up in your user sounds, and then next time you load that, there you go. So this can be very helpful because you don't always want all those parameters all over the place. It can impede your workflow. Another thing to mention is if we come to the channel view now, we have a couple different options here. For instance, the first one I want to talk about is MIDI input. So we come over to the MIDI page, and by default, you can change the way the MIDI information triggers this sound. Default, it's just going to be triggered from the keyboard or whatever kind of MIDI controllers you have hooked up. Focus, same thing. The real thing to note here is none. And this, no matter how hard I hit my keyboard or any other keyboard, it's not going to trigger. And it will trigger from the pads, but not from external MIDI devices. Very important in a live setting. You don't want to be messing stuff up. Maybe this is only intended to be played from the pads. It's just another layer of security, I guess, that's there and should be there. Moving on, macro controls have been updated slightly where we can now kind of streamline this process. So if I wanted to create a bunch of macros at a top layer for this, for instance, let's do it from the group, and I want to select my sound 1, and the slots are massive, and all those different slots I had, for instance, the macro, maybe I want to find the cutoff, right? So now I've created a cutoff macro. And if I wanted to come to macro 2 and do the same thing over, well, I kind of do this like convoluted process again, right? I don't want to do that. Now you can right click on the name, copy, and paste. So now that I've got a duplicate, I can easier just come to this last section and get resonance, for instance. So simple things like that just make workflow a little bit better. For whatever reason, you couldn't do that prior. So those are some of the more mouseier usability improvements that I think are notable.